All wings, check in.
Red 3, standing by.
Red 6, standing by.
Red 5, standing by.
Red button, standing by.
Red Fox, standing by. Big Red, standing by.
Red October, standing by.
Helen Reddy, standing by.
Simply Red, standing by.
So who talks first? You talk first? I talk first.
Ladies, gentlemen, wamp rats at a bull's eyeball and my T16 back home age, welcome to Hell of a Pilot Episode 5. Today, with me, and as always, the one and only, the day he came out to his father was the hardest day of his life. Daddy, I do white K-tones. Back in my day, son, we only did red K-tones and we had to work for our Vades. Mike Marriott, how are you today, Mike?
Look, I'm just fantastic. Now, I just wanted to update our listeners on the fact that the surgery is now complete.
Oh,
I am
good.
now I'm a human. Look, it's going okay. No post-surgery infections. I am now a human defender. I couldn't be happier. I've made the transition.
Have you had a
You an X7? You look like an X7.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always focus and evade when I leave the house.
All right. And of course, with me as well, making the Empire great again, coming at you with all the fake news and alternate facts, Lachlan Gillies. How are you, Lachlan?
I'm going to build a wall around Coruscant and make the rebellion pay for it. It's going to be huge. I'm going to shoot lightning out of my huge hands.
Also, I'm feeling pretty good. You know, it's warm, but otherwise I'm fine. Thank you for asking.
It is warm tonight, isn't it? So,
Yep.
Mike,
Yes,
what have you been flying lately?
I've been flying the Batwing. Yep.
It's not the ship we needed, it's the ship we wanted right now.
Absolutely, and I love it. I think it's been my favourite release probably in the last 6 months since the Defender, I'd have to say. Like, especially from an Imperial perspective, I felt the Special Forces and the Striker was a little meh, but this, I think, has got some great potential, and it looks amazing. And it flaps its wings. It's so flappy.
Okay, just quickly,
Striker-
how many ships for the Rebels can flap their wings?
The U-wing, it can move its wings backwards and forwards. It can do like a kind of butterfly swimming kind of thing.
And Scum?
I don't think they have any articulated ships, but you know that...
So Imperials have more articulated ships than Scum and Rebels combined.
The Imperial ships are very articulate. They all do elocution lessons.
Mm-hmm. But I tell you what, if you had a squad of the Lambda, the Upsilon, and the Striker, you could move every single wing in that squad. Yeah.
And you spend most of your time just like running the clock out just by moving the wings.
Yeah.
Or when you move the dial, you also flip the spinner and twister.
Yes.
Right wing up on blue.
Yeah, but I tell you what, look, we play tested it the other night. I didn't fly it with Palpatine or anything, but it hits like a truck. And the Kylo's shuttle and the coordinate are fantastic.
Yeah, I'm feeling that. Going without Palpatine, without the safety net. Bold move, bold strategy. Let's see how it pays off.
Mm-hmm. I like to live on the edge.
Lachlan, how about you? Having any flight lessons?
I was inspired by our own discussion last week about Marek Steel, but I certainly did get a lesson. I got a lesson in bombs.
Ooh.
Yeah, right?
Ooh.
So I was playing against my mate Tristan, who I mentioned at the end of the last episode, and I was flying Marek Steel, and I beat Mike's record of 2 crits. I got 3 out of 4 dice for a crit in one roll, so I got to choose out of 9 cards and wrecked an arc.
Mm.
But my mate Tristan, he was using bombs like I've never seen before. He was using them, not even trying to bomb at me. He was shutting down parts of the board and controlling it. He was using 2 generic K-wings, and he was flying in between asteroids, not even attacking me. The first couple of turns, I was a bit confused because he wasn't attacking me. He was just flying between asteroids and dropping cluster mines between asteroids and making walls that I couldn't fly through, locking off bits of the board. And in one game, he used cluster mines 4 times. The board was an absolute mess because hardly anywhere was safe to fly. And he absolutely wrecked my Vader by making me constantly fly in the wrong direction. Because if I flew straight at him, there were bombs. So I had to fly around the edge of the board to try and face him without flying over any bombs. Vader got to take 1 target lock the entire game and then just got frickin' focused down by basic-ass K-Wings.
With their massive 2 red turret dice.
Yeah, it was so... Yeah, it was bombing like I have never seen before. Tristan uses bombs so well, he deserves to be on some kind of watch list.
Kaos, I think we have a challenger to your title.
Oh no! I actually recently had a game against a guy who ran a 3K win bomb list. That was last night, and I didn't. They are so squirrely. It's like you think that you've got it. You think you know that you're safe, but you're never safe. That's the trick. You're never safe. If you're outside of range 3, you're not safe. If you're inside of range 3, you're definitely not safe. Your only way to hopefully not get bombed is to be pretty much right beside them. In which case, you're not normally shooting at them. Anyway.
The only move is not to play.
You can't lose if you can't play. Logic. Got it. Okay. Other than that, I've kept going with my 32-point league and still doing well there. Went to a 60-point competition. Learned some harsh lessons that involve things don't work as well at all if you only have half a list. So, like, Fenaroo just doesn't work.
So without the menage a trois of another scum ship, it's not as effective.
No, it's really not. And neither was twin TLTs. That's what I brought. It's just not enough. It just isn't. And because they're immediately out PS'd, and I don't know. Didn't work so well for me. I think I came like second last. Had a great time though. And they put on quite a spread for like prizes. It was like 4 alt art cards for everyone.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed with that. I immediately gave them away at like the 32-point game. But yes.
Well, you've got binders full of Veteran Instincts and Predator, so
I do.
Sure. Yes, you do.
I do.
I'm pretty sure that pile of Veteran Instincts cards is stopping your house from blowing away.
So, Lachlan, what do we have on the show for us today?
All right. In the main discussion section, Mike's going to talk to us about the Upsilon shuttle again. You might say it's our first order of business.
Aww.
Then we're going to talk about I'm not going to lie. I've been thinking about that joke since this morning. We're going to talk about the new conditions. I'll show you the dark side, suppressive fire, and do remind me because I want to tell you a thought I've had about a score to settle. We're going to talk about Katarn in the Hell of a Pilot lore section. There's some interesting stuff there, a blend of old canon and new canon. And there's a little challenge. We got a PM on the Hell of a Pilot Facebook page the other day from somebody you might be familiar with, and we will tell you all about that.
All right. Well, if that's everything, I think it's on with the show.
Greetings, citizens. Welcome to Hollywood News. If you're just joining us, here once again is our top story this hour. Imperial authorities have issued a warrant for the arrest of former stormtrooper Kyle Katarn and are seeking information on his whereabouts. Katarn has betrayed the Empire and abandoned his rank as an officer in our proud stormtrooper corps and is suspected of working with the rebellion. Dereliction of duty such as this is the lowest of the low, typical of a cad and a bounder, lacking in the moral fortitude of a genuine Imperial citizen. Under no circumstances does the Imperial military accept desertion or espionage, so it's not a question of when Katarn will be captured, it's a question of how. Will you make the authorities hunt him down themselves, or will you join the search? Citizens who provide useful leads could find themselves receiving credits, rations, or even a job in civil service. So what are you waiting for? Remember, only you can stomp out crime in your empire. Turning from crime to more positive news from the scientific community, it seems the classic Lambda shuttle may soon be a thing of the past now that Imperial engineers have continued to make strides with the sleeker, more modern Upsilon shuttle. With its majestic black wings and impressive maneuverability, this shuttle will no doubt be a safe and reliable transport for future generations of Imperial officers. Can this thing hunt rebels? You bet it can. Well, that's all the news we have today, so remember, HoloNet News is here for your safety.
The Batwing is here, all fear. The Lambda shuttle has met its match. The Batwing, 4 red dice out the front. Mike, you're excited about this.
I'm incredibly excited by the Batwing. Busted it out on Monday to play test it in a couple of games. Flew it with Klyo, and we'll talk about the conditions, whether that's a thing to fear or not. But in both games, I learned 2 things. First of all, it hits like a truck, and it's something that you really need to fly aggressively. Well, at least you get the best out of it if it's flown aggressively. It's got a rewarding dial, and getting a ship in front of your 4 red dice can really hurt. In fact, actually, I was on the receiving end of a Batwing. Lockie was there Monday night. There was, at one point, there was 3 separate X-Wing games going on. All of them had the Batwing.
Yeah.
So it's clearly flavour of the month. I was flying a Batwing with Omega Leader and Marek Steel, and my Omega Leader got in the guns of one of my opponent's Batwing. He threw 4 red dice, all hits, my greens blanked out, and it was good night, Omega Leader.
One shot, huh?
Good.
You put a bounty and it paid dividends. So
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll have to pay up on that, I suppose. The important thing is Omega Leader is dead. That's all that matters.
Mm-hmm. Except for the army of Omega Leader clones, which are proliferating across the galaxy.
No!
Oh, clones. Actually, come to think of it, why did Leia say that Luke was too short for a stormtrooper? Like, when she was growing up, it would have been mainly clones, and they couldn't have been too short. They were all the same height.
Exactly.
Anyway, that's a tangent.
But if he could be too short, because he would be shorter than the clones themselves. So she came about the time about, 10 years after they stopped making clones and started making just people, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Empire threw its door opens to humans, but if the Empire had the humans first preference. But I think this is what's called a digression. But anyway.
So the Lambda shuttle, the old one.
Yeah.
You couldn't do it too hard, could you? It was red, wasn't it?
Correct.
But the Oooopsilon, what's Upsilon?
Mm-hmm.
It can. And it can do a red 3 hard and a red 1 hard. And it can still stop. But its greens are not, aside from the 1 straight, all of its greens are on the 2. So it's a lot harder to slow roll, correct?
Yes. Yes, so it's there's 4 greens there. There's the 1 forward's also a green.
Yeah.
But
do you want to slow roll it? I mean, it almost seems like you're supposed to fight with it. Actually, if our good friend Nick Henley is listening, we want a message from you to tell us if you'd be interested in using the Upsilon based on what you said about making sure the Lambda stays in the fight, because it looks like this thing is supposed to.
See, the Lambda the Upsilon is a little bit different because it can't slow roll. So if you're ever stressed or you're ever trying to do any once you're behind it, it's done. Just like the normal Lambda. Once you're behind it, it's done. So you have to slow roll it, but they're reducing your ability to do that by not being able. Any turns have to be 2 for them to be green. So let's say you do a stop action. Your following action needs to be either a straight 1 or a turn 2 or a straight 2.
The 2 turns are white. The 2 banks are green.
Yes. So what I'm saying is you can't clear stress from that.
Yeah, but I got stress on it, and stress really wasn't too much of an issue.
Wasn't it?
And Mike, I thought of a question for you. Remember we were talking about what system to put on it?
Yeah.
If you because it has got 4 red dice, and obviously 4 red dice is quite shooty, if you put fire control system on it, then you've always got target locks for attacking with, and you can still do the precious coordinate actions left and right.
And look, I think that's it's not just the fact that it has 4 red and it has the sort of additional hull and shield. Yes, it's more expensive, but what I found in the playtesting experience was it was just that much more efficient. So you would roll it. You could use it in a couple of different ways. My first game, I was playing it basically to hand out additional coordinate actions to my TIE defender. So Marek Steele was rolling in there, getting his focus evade and a target lock. So I was using the PS4 Upsilon, which is dormant. So that range band for him to be able to use a coordinate action is extended. I was also had good old Darth Emo on there as a crew member to hand out the conditions. And I will say, you know how lots of people was crying that it was the end of the world, the apocalypse, and cats and dogs living together in sin. I think it's a little bit like the whole moral panic people had over the black market slicer tool. It was like, oh my God, this will kill all the push the limit aces, etc., etc. Look, it's good, it's okay, but I tell you what, flying the Upsilon, 2 things I found worked really, really well with it. One was a coordinate action, because you can just give your other, your wingman, sort of two aces, a pocket ace, and the defender seems to sit really nicely with this. You give them extra actions, but I tell you what, that Kylo Ren's shuttle title, just giving out the stress, that was really good. Just that little bit of extra control, which makes people reticent to go, oh, I want to blast into range 1 and blow you up. It's kind of like, well, do so. I'm going to give you a stress.
When did that trigger? Did that trigger at the end of the turn?
Yes.
I just grabbed a picture of the card here. The Kylo Ren shuttle, the title, as written, at the end of the combat phase, choose an unstressed enemy ship at range 1 to 2. Its owner must assign a stress token to it, or assign a stress token to another ship at range 1 to 2 of you that player controls. So it's not an action, and somebody can't.
Passive.
Yeah, so it's basically free, and it's every turn, and
it's 2 points.
Yeah,
that's good.
It's so when you think, so going back to what I was saying before about how efficient it is. Yes, the Lambda is a fantastic space bus for the Palpatine to hitch a ride in, and it's got 3 red, but outside of that, it doesn't really do anything else.
Yeah, this shuttle does stuff. This shuttle flies. This shuttle fights. It hands stress out.
Yeah. This shuttle's a brawler. It's a heavy hitter. It likes to get into the fight. It likes to punch, and it likes to give out stress.
I like the idea of there being a shuttle out there without the Emperor on it. And would you take 2, 1 with the Emperor?
Yeah, look, there was a few of us there on Monday night, and we were spitballing the idea of actually running 2 shuttles. It seems viable. Look, I ran it with Kylo, and I think it was the guy who gives out, every time you do a green, you give somebody out a target lock. Mm-hmm. So I was rolling forward.
On the systems officer crew card.
The system. So essentially, I was getting, so I'd roll forward like a 1 green in the shuttle, hand out a target lock, coordinate, and at the end of the shooting phase, hand out stress.
Although the only generic in the box is the Starkiller base pilot. It's 30 points. The 2 of those is 60 points, and then 40. What are you doing with that 40? Are you buying yourself a small base ship, or are you just kitting out the 2 shuttles and having only the shuttles?
Yeah. Look, that's a really good question. I'd be interested to experiment in that. I think, Lockie, we were talking on Monday night. I have an idea about building like what I call a super shuttle, which is just fully maxed out, just with fire control system, all the bits and bobs systems and the like, and then pairing it with another shuttle and just seeing how the 2 fly together.
Because one thing I didn't find out until Monday night, and could be easily overlooked, is that it can have 2 pieces of tech at once.
Absolutely.
So, you know, I was saying before about there's not a lot of room for stress mitigation, but for de-stressing, if the shuttle gets stressed, if you put the pattern analyzer on it, it doesn't matter if it's stressed because it's still doing actions. As long as it's not doing a red maneuver, stress it. It don't care.
Pattern analyzer, if you can perform an action and then you get the stress later, but you still have to have no stress when you perform the action next time. You can't...
Isn't pattern analyzer, when executing a maneuver, resolve the check pilot stress step after the perform action step? So
yeah, so then you still have to check the pilot stress at the end. But
you've done your action though.
So I've heard this go two ways. I've heard this say that you can have multiple stress and still do the action, but coming up, if you're stressed the second time, it doesn't trigger. So I'm not really sure. I'm still not 100% sure how it works. I think it's one of those things where you still can't do it if you're stressed. It's a bit funny. I'll need to have some clarification on that one.
Oh no, do we need to go to the flowchart?
Quickly, make a new flowchart. Just for that one.
You check the order of operations. It goes, instead of, normally you do your move, and it goes, okay, am I stressed? If I am, I can't do an action. If I'm not, I can do an action. Yeah. But this card says, do the action first. Do an action.
Then are you stressed?
Stressed?
Then are you stressed? No, then you couldn't have done the action.
Doesn't matter if I'm stressed because I've already done the action.
Alright. I think we need to go do some research on this one. Pattern analyzer?
We'll get back to you, listeners, and settle this vital question.
We will.
Or
we will.
Send us some messages. Do our work for us.
Actually, that's right. You correct us.
Tell me why I'm wrong. Tell me why I'm stupid. It's fine. I will not cry softly into my pillow at night. It's fine. So, tell us about Kylo Ren. Actual Kylo Ren. And why he is not the be-all and end-all of X-Wing. How did he not bring the end of X-Wing?
I found I just wasn't using it as much as I thought I would. And I was flying a squad with Marek Steel and Omega Leader, so I was purposely crit hunting.
Mm.
But I found the coordinate action to be just far superior in terms of, like, so for example, the way that I was using it, I'd be flying Omega Leader or Marek sort of straight at a rock, and because of the pilot skill order, come the next turn, shuttle moves forward, its action is to coordinate, then I would barrel roll Marek Steel into a brand new position. So I was using the shuttle to effectively reposition both my aces and therefore making them far less predictable. So one of the things about the Defender is, well, what's it going to do? Oh, I don't know. It's going to do a 4K turn. Surprise! Well,
no, it's 4K turn slightly to the left.
True, but you could really reposition. And it was actually a hell of a lot of fun, particularly with the Omega Leader, using the TIE FO's dial to great advantage by barrel rolling him and putting him into new positions as such.
So yeah, on the forum, on the FFG forum, people were saying, look, this has ruined the game. Why is this happening? Crits that can go under shields. I can't believe it. But yeah, you're right. That is it. First of all, it's an action to even let that happen. And second of all, the other person has to suffer a crit. So the coordinate action, is it more valuable than putting the crit through? I found the Kylo Ren's show you the dark side, daddy kind of thing just didn't proc enough. And it felt like to me like black market slicer tools where, yes, scary in theory, but in reality wasn't quite so terrifying. Same thing happened with, like I said, black market slicer tools. I think in corner cases you'll have it and it'll be really effective, but I like the shuttle for a whole lot of other reasons. All right.
Mostly firing 4 dice up the front.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that its wings flap.
Oh, yes.
Because essentially it's kind of like, well, this turn, wings up or wings down. What looks more threatening?
Because the other one that came out, well, one of the other ones that came out on the same day was Sabine's tie. And
Yes.
the condition that comes with that is suppressing fire, which is an interesting one, I suppose, in the same family as Biggs. That when Captain Rex, one of the pilots, when he makes an attack, the person he attacked suffers the suppressive fire effect. And that means that when they attack any ship other than Captain Rex, they roll one less attack dice. So if if you've got Captain Rex and your main other ship on the board, like something like the Ghost that has 0 evade, or something, a lot of Rebel stuff has low evade anyway, then by having Rex on the board, they will suffer a bit less damage, I suppose. And or your opponent can choose to attack Rex instead, but then get hammered by whatever ship you've brought along to the party. So the TIE fighters, they've been around since the beginning. We know all about the TIE fighter stats. They've got the 3 greens. So
We're
putting
going to see more TIE fighters and Rebels than we see in Imperials, and that is...
Just
Just take that in.
If you put a stealth device on it, maybe, and try and stay far away, just take pot shots at range 3 to be annoying. Rex and Biggs, I wonder if they're going to hang out together in a few games, but then that's 2 not very powerful ships, maybe just for gimmick's sake. I don't know.
How I see it, right, is you get Sabine's tie, you give her the title, you give it Ahsoka. You put Sabine in the passenger seat. You give it a bomb.
Oh no!
And then you give it the crane, the scavenger crane.
Oh no!
So she can bomb, move, take a focus, do everything she would normally do, but there was a bomb there. And then when things blow up, you get the bomb back, and you do it again. And then
How long have you been thinking about this?
I really, really wanted to run it with 2 K-Wings. And
He's just always thinking about bombs. It's his solution to everything.
Yeah. I'm unhappy with this government. Bombs. Wait, no. Shouldn't have said that.
No. I don't know him. I have never met this man.
USA is best USA.
But the TIE Fighter... The TIE Fighter is an interesting one because, it really doesn't... Like, we all know TIE Fighters individually... They're not for fighting with. No. So it really comes down to whoever and whatever you put in the back seat, really. So, we're going to see a fair few Sabines and...
I like it because you have to make that choice about firing at a TIE fighter. And it's like, you could waste your turn. Not really waste, you could spend your turn firing at a TIE fighter, but at the end of the day, you've just fired at a TIE fighter.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you've taken away my 20-point ship, maybe, but you can't even do it if it's Ahsoka. So the actual threat value of them being there is not particularly high, so you don't really want to fire at them. But then if Captain Rex is on it, then he's reducing your attack value, so you do have to fire at him. I don't know. And funny thing about Captain Rex, his card stays on you until he hasn't fired that turn. He doesn't need to fire at you. He just needs to fire that turn. Or he's dead.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
So it's to confuse and harass.
Yeah. Which is exactly Captain Rex's style.
I think it completely replaces the A-wing in the blocking role, but it's doing more than just blocking because it's kind of like a mini Biggs and a mini support ship all kind of rolled into one.
If you stick Kanan Jarrus on there and just have him float around, and all of a sudden all your whites are now green for every ship.
The valuable thing about Kanan, so it's easy to forget because people have been putting Kanan on Rey and using him for the ship that's moving to get those kind of semi-sloop things. But Kanan can affect any ship, any allied ship within range 1 to 2. So you can put Kanan in the TIE Fighter, and it's not the TIE Fighter who has to benefit from the whites.
And so you could stress yourself. Let's say you have Kyle Katarn on a ship. Stress yourself. Hey, Kyle Katarn. With push to limit. Any of your white maneuvers are now green. So you perform pretty much any of your maneuvers except if they're red. And then you get a focus.
Do you know what I'm saying? It's like almost like the perfect ship to accompany the Ghost as it does that massive 5k turn.
Yeah.
Because one of the thoughts I've had is you have the Ghost, you have Biggs, and you have the little Rebel TIE fighter, and just flying in a little squadron. You've got Kanan in there, and you've got the Ghost just maximising its efficiency by doing those K turns to reposition, but not being punished for it and still being able to take actions.
And what's exciting now is you can have pretty much a full Rebels list. Rebels, a TV show list.
It's been my dream. I've got a couple...
Oh, yeah?
In my squad builder, I've got a couple of variations of what I'm calling classic Rebel.
Classic Rebel. Rebel.
So
This is a mess.
what sort of elicits would you put in there? I can see uses for lots of different ones. I mean, you could put...
Well, if you're Sabine...
You could put... well, yeah. No, the illicit... I mean, like, the hot shot blaster is one, because then the TIE fighter doesn't have to be facing the right direction, could have a shot at somebody. You could put the inertial dampeners on there, because then, as Mike said, you could block. I mean, it can only be done once, but a TIE fighter all of a sudden not moving could confuse people. Maybe not feedback array, because there's not a lot of health.
No, you don't want to feedback array yourself. Unless you're doing the kamikaze move.
With the EMP device is an illicit upgrade it comes with.
Oh no, feedback array wouldn't kamikaze. I was thinking of the one with Chopper, where you just take 2 damage, fly into the middle of them, chopper yourself to death, and blow up and kill and blow things up around you because you can.
Chopper and Dead Man switch.
Yep.
Oh, nasty.
This became a 20-point missile. Take 1 damage, everyone. Other things on there... You could burn out Slam. Wait, no, you can't. That's a large base ship.
Look, cloaking device if you really, really want it to be annoying.
If you really want to stay alive,
Yeah.
The thing is, though, actually, I watched a game on Monday night with Michael Steffen, who's a friend of ours, and we've talked about before.
He's coming to ACT. We're driving together.
He's going to ACT, and he was play testing Captain Rex with the cloaking device on there. But it actually didn't work as well as you'd think, because when you're cloaked, you're not shooting, and Rex's ability relies on putting the shots out.
Yeah.
So the theory was kind of pop out, shoot, put the effect on, pop back in, and float around. But it was good. It was more like a flavorful theory than an actual thing that carried off.
I think there's going to be some really interesting variations of this coming out, which are going to be built to do completely different things.
Yeah.
So I love Ahsoka TIE fighter with recon specialists. I think that's sort of really helping sort of the action economy or efficiency of your squad there, and that, her ability is that she hands out focus tokens. Yeah.
Oh, isn't Ahsoka, you can spend a focus token to give someone else at range 1 to 2 and a free action.
That's correct.
So I want to know if that's once per turn, though, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay, so
the Ahsoka Tano ability, at the start of the combat phase, you may spend 1 focus token to choose a friendly ship at range 1. It may perform 1 free action.
Range
So
1? Oh, that has to be real close.
Yeah, so I guess it's kind of Howl Runner-esque in that sense, but so I suppose with the recon specialist, if Ahsoka has 2 focus, it's one to spend on the ability and 1 to have to use on attack or defense.
Realistically, I think we're probably going to see Ahsoka more with Rebel Regen with the X-Wings and the E-Wings, because X-Wing and E-Wing together generally left around 20 points, just spare, that people were using for A-Wing blockers and other things like that. But you could probably put Ahsoka on there, and then all of a sudden your Poe Dameron is now got target lock and a focus and a boost, or
Yeah.
he could, or they could give it to the other guy to Corin Horn, and now he's also evading. So
The Sabine tie, people have been saying it for months ever since it was first revealed. Just the pocket ace, the spare points.
yeah,
I don't even think it needs to be really shooting very much at all. I think what it can do in terms of crew options and the like, and sort of putting out conditions is where it's at.
yeah,
You know, I was thinking about Ahsoka paired with Nora. Nora loves her focus and loves having that additional action economy. You know, flown together, you've got a Nora which can really hit like a truck, and Ahsoka just putting behind her, just giving her additional actions.
Well, Nora Wexley has frequently pushed the limit.
Yes.
So if, you know, she's probably going to get her own target lock and focus because she can take care of herself because she's an independent lady.
Yes.
But at the same time, if she has vectored thrusters, then that's target lock, focus, and maybe a barrel roll for getting the enemy's position or for evading enemy shots. So Nora, who could do 3 things instead of 2, like Nora's scary already. Far out. So the third ship from this one is, of course, the quad jumper, and I'm fascinated to see what people are going to come up with this one, because it can hand out tractor beam tokens as actions instead of having to shoot. Like I like the tractor beam cannon, but the reality is it does 0 damage even if you hit.
yeah.
So tractor beam stuff as an action, like I put you on rock, then I shoot you, and that's that. Like that's gonna be fun just to see what comes from that.
I have made my lists with that, and it involves having 2 of those, rolling up into range 1, putting 2 tractor beams on something, so even if something has 3 evade, it now suddenly has 1, or it's on a rock, which is even better. And right behind that is 3 Benari pirates with cluster missiles, and and of course they're carrying with them the crane. So you roll up, you blow something out of the sky. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna be rolling naked dice at you, but here comes 12.
That's like whoever's piloting the quad jumpers said to the rest of the squadron, all right, I'll hold him down, you guys hit him.
And then after they've done the horrible thing of completely alpha striking out something out of the sky, they go, all right, everyone get the missiles back, let's go again. Round 2.
Yeah, for the Bravo strike, the Charlie strike, the Delta strike, the Echo strike, the Foxtrot strike. But because the other thing is that because quad jumper is new trilogy, it can have tech. And if I know we've had like a mini debate about this in the last few minutes, but if Pattern Analyzer does what I think it does, when the quad jumper does its backwards move, which is a red, it can move backwards and do an action.
Okay, so what I looked it up. All right, here it goes. You ready?
Yep.
The check pilot stress step comes after the execute maneuver step, and it remains the execute maneuver step. So if the step is red, it's now check this pilot stress. Was that a red maneuver? Add on a stress token. That check pilot stress happens after the perform action step. So you could do a red maneuver, perform an action, and then take a stress. Or you can't perform actions if you're stressed. Just period.
Okay.
It's not there is a check pilot stress before, then it's just that you just can't perform actions if you're stressed. Unless it says acquire a target lock, which I think is different.
So you can do an action on the turn that you do the red maneuver, but
Yes.
not continue to do them afterwards?
Yes. Well, it
Okay.
just then means that you have to clear that stress. So
Yeah.
you can,
So
if
you
you wanted
can
to
still
do a
say-
red maneuver, push the limit, and then you'll have 2 stress, and then you'll take 2 turns to get rid of it. But that's how it is.
Well, all right. Well, it does mean, though, even though I was wrong before, it does mean this time you can do the backwards maneuver with the quad jumper, which is red, and do an action.
Yes.
So at least that one you can do.
Yes.
But, so have both of you guys seen the condition that comes with that one? A score to settle?
Yeah.
Yes. Please
Okay.
tell.
So
I like it.
So it's an interesting one. It's sort of got two parts. A score to settle comes with the quad jumper and is an EPT. It's not faction locked. During setup, before the place forces step, choose one enemy ship and assign the condition a debt to pay. When you're attacking that ship, you change one of your eye results to a crit result. So basically you look at your enemy's ships before any ship's been put down, you see what they've brought, you pick the one that you most want to do damage to, you point to it, put on your best stereotypical Scottish accent, say, I'm going to do you, and you wait until everything's been put down, and you give them the condition. Now, a debt to pay condition card that you put down means that even though one of your eye results changes to crits against them, they get the same in return. When they're attacking the ship that gave out the condition, they change one of their dice to a crit. So there's a little bit of risk there. But I was talking to one of our other X-Wing mates, Ewan, about this, and I've dropped his name into it because I don't want to be alone in this horrible thing I'm about to tell you. If you give that 0 point non-faction locked elite talent to Omega Leader can hand out crits but can't save them back because it would count as modifying dice. So Omega Leader in this scenario is crit proof. So you can make Omega Leader, this little hunter,
A crit dealer.
the crit dealer who can't take the crits back. As if we needed a reason to hate Omega Leader anymore. And I can't believe I'm the one who thought of this because I hate Omega Leader. But just, I know Owen's about to say juke, but you can give this EPT to Omega Leader and just watch your enemy hate you.
That's terrifying. That's really upsetting.
Right?
My heart. What did Omega Leader normally have on there?
On Omega Leader?
Yeah.
Duke Com Relay.
Oh, so it takes the Duke.
Yeah, that's the classic Omega Leader build.
So I wonder, because it's free, will people do this from time to time? Still take the comm relay, because then you've got free evade, why not, basically.
Yeah.
But it's not an action, so on a turn when maybe you get bumped or something, Omega Leader doesn't get to take an action, can't focus. If you've already got somebody target locked or whatever, if you can shoot at this person that you've assigned the condition to, and you don't have focus, at least one of your dice, if you roll the eye, is a crit.
Oh, God.
And they can't crit you back!
Oh, God.
Is Omega Leader not just disgusting?
It's so mean. We need the Black One title. Put more Black One titles out there. Guys, Black One titles. Oh, God.
But it also sits well in other crit hunting ships. So Chirpy in the Decimator, and also Marek Steel loves a good crit as well.
Notably.
Yes.
Would you want... Marek Steel, 100%.
Yeah.
The Decimator, would you want to put on the Decimator? Because the Decimator's got a lot of hull, and it's very open to crits. And it would... Yeah. Then all the crits will be happening to it. Maybe, what...
Yeah, but that's more like your Darth Vader YOLO Decimator, where you're sort of going in. It's kind of like...
YOLO Vader.
Yeah, YOLO Vader, as I like to call it. Whereas, look, yeah, it's going to burn and die in a fiery death, but my God, it's glorious as it goes.
It's been a pleasure serving with you, gentlemen.
Darth Vader just turns on a violin made of red laser.
Yeah.
Die a fiery death. Been there, done that. Wasn't impressed.
Guys, I died a fiery death before it was cool. Wait, no, that was Kylo Ren's voice.
Yeah.
Yes. Show me a fiery death, grandfather. I will finish what you started.
I'll show you a fiery death.
I'll show you the dark side. Oh my god.
But coming, I haven't had a chance to play with the quad jumper. I haven't got one yet. I haven't heard much news about it myself, maybe because I'm not listening. But I think because Sabine's tie and the Batwing have kind of overshadowed things because they're so, sexy looking. But I think the...
Quad jumper is not.
Yeah.
Oi, it is full-bodied.
Yes.
It is a curvy ship. It has some lovely lumps.
It's got natural curves. So...
Sorry, was that a Black Eyed Peas reference?
A little bit.
Oh, Owen, you're so fergalicious.
Oh god, can we move on to the next segment now?
To defeat an enemy, you must know them. Not simply their battle tactics, but their history, philosophy, art.
Alright, here it is again, our lore section, One Hell of a Pilot, or as we're thinking of renaming it, we talk about 90s Star Wars video games. So, Kyle Katarn is the subject of this episode, who was first introduced in the video game Dark Forces and was the protagonist of the Jedi Knight series of video games. So he is one of the first Jedi Masters in the old canon, one of the first Jedi Masters to start working with Luke Skywalker rebuilding the Jedi Order. So this guy, if you've seen him in Jedi Outcast or Jedi Academy, he fights the Sith wearing basically a hoodie. Like, he gets about in a jumper instead of robes. It's pretty good. Anyway, so Kyle Katarn was a stormtrooper, as we sort of alluded to in the introduction. So he came from an Outer Rim farming world. There's sort of a theme in some of the, like with Luke Skywalker, Marek Steel, farmers.
Can I just ask a question here?
Yeah.
In a galaxy of trillions of life forms, who wasn't a farmer?
Well, yeah, actually, that's fair enough. People got to eat, and there's a lot of people in the whole galaxy.
I guess, but it's they're either farming moisture or some other stuff. Who knows?
Farming moisture.
Does he come from a planet that ends with Owen? Antoween?
No Owen.
Oh, okay.
Oh, hang on. How many sons?
Oh.
Just the one.
Oh.
Just the one.
Wow, this guy's way too down to earth. I don't like him at all.
He's like totally down market Luke. Anyway, go on.
Well, I think they were trying to make a kind of Luke-ish parallel as they went along, but so he was a farmer on the planet Sulon, and his father was an Empire hater, but sent Kyle off to the Imperial Academy because they didn't come from a very affluent world, and it was the only way for Kyle to get an education. Basically, was want you to have a better life, go and learn from the army, sort of thing. But
so what can't you learn from the army? Lots of life skills like burning down villages and walking in single file.
Do you know what you don't learn in the Stormtrooper Academy?
What's that?
You don't learn to shoot. That's rule.
No, it's rule one. Say, do not conserve ammunition. We use lasers. Just blast away.
One magazine, one kill. But no, it's like Obi-Wan and doing his whole CSI bit on the sand crawler in A New Hope. Only Imperial Stormtroopers are so precise that you haven't seen a Stormtrooper for a long time, have you, Obi-Wan? You've just been kind of...
They're a bit different now.
Yeah. They're not quite the clone troopers you used to hang out with.
Not clones of legendary bounty hunters. No, they're just average Joes who just handed guns and said, "Hey ha, go for it."
So the Stormtrooper is the TIE Academy pilot of the Empire. Got it.
Yes.
Essentially, yeah. Well, they are kind of blockers in that, in that sense.
Sorry, go on.
So his father, Morgan Katarn, was not a Jedi, but he was mildly Force sensitive. From what I read, he could sort of move things around a little bit, but that was, you know, he never did the full Charles Xavier School for the Gifted thing and actually go to the Jedi Academy. He just had that intuition. So Morgan was hunted down and killed by Dark Jedi, which was a thing we don't hear about. We don't hear about them anymore, but in the 90s, Dark Jedi was a thing. Nowadays, they call them the Inquisitors. So that's what I was sort of saying before about the stuff I've been reading about Kyle Katarn. It's like a blend of old and new canon. They haven't omitted anything from his story, but they've tried to update it. So now instead of Dark Jedi, they say Inquisitors. So Kyle was a stormtrooper, and he was a bloody good one, became an officer, and he became enraged at the Rebel Alliance when his father was killed because the Inquisitors had dressed as rebels to get the job done more easily, without detection.
Wow.
So, you know, kind of a false flag sort of thing, and yeah, so Kyle, huge rebel hater. But he went on a cruise and he met Jan Ors. And Jan Ors was another character introduced in Jedi Knight. She was a rebel intelligence agent. And in the old canon, once the rebels won the war and became the New Republic, she was part of NRI, New Republic Intelligence. So Kyle meets Jan, gets in a fight with her bodyguards, and she, you know, asks him what his beef is. He's like, "No, rebels killed Dad." And she showed him some proof. She showed him footage of the Inquisitors, proof that his father was killed by Imperial agents, and that kind of shattered him a bit. He didn't go straight from the Empire to the Rebels. He became a mercenary, just kind of did his own thing for a bit. Didn't want to know you, didn't want to do anything for you. Just out to work for himself. Would occasionally work with Jan, but then this is where a conspiracy theory of mine comes into play.
Ooh.
At the start of Dark Forces, yeah, that's right. Anybody who acts now will receive a genuine, official, one hell of a pilot tinfoil hat. He's the protagonist of the video game Dark Forces.
The only 90s video game I had, and it's really good.
Yeah, I played it on Steam last year. Like Professor Frink, the colors, children, the colors. Okay, the first level of Dark Forces, you, as Kyle Katarn, single-handedly steal the Death Star plans.
Right.
So, sorry?
Right, I'm listening.
Okay, so this is old canon because Rogue One has just come out. But what if there's no such thing as old canon and new canon? What if Rogue One is a propaganda film made by the Empire? Okay?
Mm-hmm. See,
They are super embarrassed that one guy was able to steal the plans all by himself. So Rogue One is the Empire going, "Oh, nah, there was like a whole fleet, and there was like a squad of people. There's like 5 or 6 of them, maybe a robot, I don't know. And there was like a huge, big like stack of tapes and stuff, and like the planet got attacked, and we had to shoot the planet with a Death Star to stop them all. There were just rebels everywhere, like so many rebels, but like we killed them all, so it's fine. And it definitely wasn't one guy at all. And that's why we have the new canon now. It's the Empire lying to us.
It makes sense because I actually think it wasn't just the Empire lying to us. It was basically everybody covering their ass to Palpatine because he's like, "What the hell happened?
I'm going to take this one step further. I'm going to take this one step further.
Yeah.
It is a artist's rendition of what... It's a rebel artist rendition on what the Empire said to everyone. That's why we're on the side of the rebels, and that's why the Imperials can't get along, and why they end up blowing up a bunch of innocents, because it's propaganda for the rebels based on propaganda for the Imperials, because they can't handle the fact that one guy just stole their plans and walked off.
Oh god, this is so meta, I'm confused.
It's all connected.
Man, it's a dream.
Mason,
a dream
the numbers, what do they mean?
I can just see Lockie, actually, I can see Lockie in Skype, and he's got this wall, and there's pictures of the Death Star and planets and string connecting them to all the different bits and pieces, and he's just got it all mapped out beautifully.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what happened to our dear friend Kyle after he single-handedly stole the Death Star plans?
I was going to say, so Kyle Katarn was like the Edward Snowden of the Empire.
Yes!
He kind of went to work one day, popped his USB into the nearest terminal and went, I think I'll just download that, and sort of waltzed out of the Scarif. Yeah, waltzed out of the Scarif complex and just kind of go, here you go.
But you don't understand, Mike, there is no Scarif. That was all in propaganda. Why would they put a giant supercomputer on a beach? Don't you know there's sand there? It gets everywhere.
Yeah. And do you know what the other thing? If you study the actual explosion of the Death Star, there are actually no X-wings. It just blows up by itself.
This is like people who study footage of the moon landing and be like, why is the flag waving?
Why was there sound from the explosion? There's no sound in space.
See? All you need to do is, once you start unpicking the thread of lies, it's like we've taken the red pill.
So what happened to Kyle? Did he went to help Luke?
Yeah, so Kyle eventually joined the Rebel Alliance after taking down the Dark Trooper program. So the game's called Dark Forces. The plot of the game is that the Emperor was ticked off by the failure of the Death Star. Thought, okay, let's go smaller. Instead of making a giant super weapon, we'll make an army of droids. So this is, well, I mean, in the new canon, we know that the Emperor was Darth Sidious running the Separatists. He had an army of droids, so it doesn't make a lot of sense now to be like, basically the Emperor going, okay, I had an army of droids, which I turned off and threw in the bin after having a bit of a staff reshuffle and having one of my apprentices decapitate my other apprentice, and now I want to make an army of droids. That's ridiculous. So I guess that's why this is old canon, and you won't see Dark Troopers pop up again because Kyle Katarn isn't in the new canon.
But I was going to say, I actually think the Death Troopers in Rogue One are a homage or nod back to the old.
I agree. I was thinking that
because they actually, there's some similarity there between the sort of aesthetics and the design, and a lot of sort of the older Star Wars fans, such as myself, as soon as we saw those black stormtroopers, were like, oh, yeah, oh.
So there was also some semi-Dark Troopers in the Rebels TV show, but they kind of were more pathetic than Dark Troopers. So I think that it mix the two together, and then you have some Dark Troopers.
Yeah.
Imagine the menacingness of the ones from Rebels and the effectiveness of the ones from Rogue One.
Terrifying.
So
the Dark Troopers were three different kinds of droids: a small, fast one with a shield and a sword, the medium one, the standard one, which is just a droid with a blaster rifle, and a huge one that fired homing missiles and was so big that a person could get inside it and wear it as a suit. So the plot was all these rebel bases were getting wiped out by these droids. They wanted to send in someone to investigate, so they sent in Kyle, and he destroyed there was this big Star Destroyer, like capital ship type of thing, which was a ship and a factory called the Arc Hammer, and that was where the Dark Troopers were being made. And Kyle destroyed that, got picked up by Jan in the Hawk, and that was it. So after that, Kyle, was doing his own thing as a mercenary. The plot of the game Jedi Knight is like a tad confusing if you try and look at it from perspective outside Legends, because it's set after the Battle of Endor, like after the Empire is destroyed and scattered. But there's Dark Jedi / Inquisitors and other Jedi everywhere. So Kyle goes to meet this kind of droid information broker, and he finds a recording that his father left him as basically a video will saying, I have found a map to a place called the Valley of the Jedi. It's a place of great power. Jedi souls go there after they die. And this Inquisitor, Jarek, wants to find it and become the most powerful person that ever there was. So Kyle goes back to his father's house because he's been told that the map is hidden in the ceiling. Turns out the map is the ceiling. It's made of giant bits of stone. And this squad of Dark Jedi, they come, they destroy the place, they steal the map. Kyle finds out of nowhere that he can just use the Force. This doesn't seem to surprise him all that much. Like, he was just a mercenary. He was a mercenary for years. He finds a lightsaber in the wall. There's a recording of his dad's being like, oh yeah, this lightsaber belonged to a mate of mine. He was heaps good. He was Jedi. This lightsaber is yours now, and I hope you'll do the right thing. And Kyle just downloads the Force.exe, and all of a sudden...
Wait, is that the scene in episode 7 where she touches the lightsaber?
Yeah.
That's downloading the Force.exe?
yeah, kind of. So the Jedi Knight, like Dark Forces is all kind of 8-bit as you'd expect, but Jedi Knight, like one of my favorite things in the world, 90s live action video game cutscenes. You can watch the whole thing on YouTube, all the scenes strung together, and it's amazing because it was before like lots of stuff that we take for granted now, lots of Force abilities. They weren't fully developed at this time because the prequels hadn't come out yet and stuff like that. So these Dark Jedi were doing stuff like using Force abilities that in this kind of glorious soap opera style, the actors would just kind of wave their hands and like colored light would just come out and stuff would happen. And you're like, what power is that? I don't know. One guy just like shoots a yellow beam at Kyle. I was like, ow, quit it. And then they get in a fight and it's like, what just happened?
Yeah.
And
can I just say, there was this one glorious moment in Star Wars history in that sort of 90s period where all these video games came out and they had all these beautiful live-action sequences.
yeah.
I think someone needs to get them all and just splice them together and make this like the ultimate fan fiction movie.
No, we need to go one step further and remake them with that technology.
Well,
do you know what that is? The hell of a pile of
versions of
Christmas. Yeah, hell of a pile of Christmas special. We'll reenact them.
oh Jesus. No. But you've actually reminded me, well, if we're going to do this, we better fan cast Kyle Katarn then, because I reckon he's got to be funny, because in the game Jedi Academy, which came out in the mid to like 2005 or something, so I was still at school when it happened. Anyway, there's a scene where Kyle Katarn, you play a Jedi apprentice, Kyle Katarn's your master, so he's an NPC. You find this lift that you have to go up to get to the top of the map, and that's where your objective is. In old games in the 90s and maybe the 80s, I'm not sure, shooters were basically puzzle games. Like, yeah, shooting was part of it, but essentially you had to go to one part of the map, find a key to another part of the map. They didn't even call them maps, they called them dungeons, and you would find... The only way to win was to find the key to the door that was the end of the mission, basically. Like, that was shooters in the 90s. So there's this scene in this relatively modern game where Kyle Katarn, who is the protagonist of all these old games, he looks at the lift and he goes, okay, we need this lift to get up, but I don't see a key for it. It's probably in a safe in a room on a different floor. It's always in a safe. It doesn't make sense. this kind of fourth wall leaning nod. So I can just imagine somebody like Robert Downey Jr. kind of looking at the camera and winking, being like, "Hey, remember? You remember." But all right, so Kyle Katarn, this mercenary who becomes a Jedi, is a pilot in the X-Wing miniatures game. And what is his ability? His ability is similar to Manaru. He's kind of the proto Manaru.
Yeah.
At the start of the combat phase, you may assign one of your focus tokens to another friendly ship at range 1-3. That ship is the Hawk, the ship that was introduced in Dark Forces. It's Jan's ship. Now, it's sort of Manaru, but not as powerful because it came out before the Jump Master did. So the recon specialist was big in the Kyle Katarn Hawk because it came with the Moldy Crow title. The Moldy Crow was the name of Kyle and Jan's ship, and it was the one that let you bank focus tokens. So you'd put the recon specialist and the Hawk, you would make a huge stack of focus tokens, keep some for yourself, throw a few of them to your mates, and I suppose that really reflects the Force. I suppose focus seems to be fairly synonymous with the Force in X-Wing. He's passing his focus out. But the other way you can get Kyle on the board is the Kyle crew member, which I quite like. After his ability, as written, after you remove a stress token from your ship, you may assign a focus token to your ship. So not only is he a Jedi, he's a Jedi Master. So he would sort of be teaching you, shed your stress and focus. Like, literally, a Jedi Master might say to their apprentice, clear your mind, don't stress, just focus, and that's where your power will come from. A little bit like Mr. Burns. Sorry?
That makes sense. I like that a lot.
Yeah. So it's literally, shed your stress and focus. And it does remind me a little bit of the episode of The Simpsons where Mr. Burns is running the exercise class. His advice is push out the jive, bring in the love.
But the other thing about Kyle was before the emergence of Kanan and the Ghost, he was sort of like the crew member that you would staple to the Outrider, to the HLC carrier for the Rebels.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's the thing, like, you'll notice that in the game, the Jedi do two things, essentially. They either de-stress you or have some sort of stress mitigation mechanic, or they're handing out focus tokens like candy.
Yeah. Well, he's a good action economy card because he goes well with the Kyle Katarn crew card was released in Rebel Aces years ago, and that's the pack that also gave us the upgrade card for the B-Wing that lets you equip crew members. So if you put him on a B-Wing and that B-Wing, K-turned once, and then on the next turn when you shed that stress, you could focus and barrel roll, because by shedding the stress you focus. Oh, there's also the B-Wing pilot Kian Farlander, who spends a stress token instead of a focus token. So if you push the limit with Kian or stress yourself on purpose with a K-turn or a hard 1, you can spend that focus and you can spend that stress, and by spending it, get a focus to use on the defense. So
I really like that combination. I wish it just wasn't too expensive.
Well, that's the thing, that it costs a point to put crew on the B-Wing. I feel like if it came out nowadays, it would probably be free.
Yeah.
Especially since you have to pay, like, to put Kyle Katarn, who is 3 points on a B-Wing, it costs 4 points.
Yeah.
Which is a lot. But another thing I was wondering about this afternoon, and I haven't had a chance to try it because I only thought of it today, I would want to put Kyle Katarn on an arc, maybe on a PTL Nora, so that on the turn when you de-stress her, she can have an extra focus or something, or put him on a stress hog arc, because when you shoot, you make the enemy stressed, but you make yourself stressed. Then on the next turn, when you de-stress, you have a focus, so you can target lock and focus, you can barrel roll and focus. I mean, extra action for an arc, why not?
I hope we see more arc play. Just tangent, but I hope we see more arc play because they're really cool ships. Those guns are sweet.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's quite a bit we've had to talk. Okay, did he die?
But no, from what I gather, Katarn not dead. He did, he made it through the Yuuzhan Vong War, which is
Wow.
the in the old canon the extra galactic conflict that came afterwards. Yeah, managed to get all the way through Jedi Master and just kind of retire. He would have met the kids that Luke had and that Han and Leia had in the old canon.
Nice.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
seemed like,
then. I think it's time to move on.
Hey, you're not permitted in there. It's restricted. You'll be deactivated for sure. Don't you call me a mindless philosopher, you overweight glob of grease. Now come out before somebody sees you.
So, we were lucky enough to get a challenge to make the Starviper great again. Good friend of the show, Tristan, who Lockie knows well, challenged us to put together a list with 2 Starvipers. I have to say, yeah, I was excited to do that because, as we know, we love the little butterfly.
They're very pretty.
They're very pretty. I was kicking around a couple of ideas, and the simplest go-to I came up with was Guri and Prince Xizor, as he's known.
Shizor.
Shizor.
Yeah.
Yeah, got to really emphasise that shit. Pair those 2 with Manaru, give everybody a tiny mind link, a couple of auto thrusters, and you're good to go. Because the Starviper it is a decent ship. It can maneuver really well. But I would say in the current meta, the 2 red dice that it's got doesn't do a great deal.
It's 3 red dice.
Oh, 3? Oh, then I'm wrong. Sorry. Yeah.
It's just overcosted.
Yeah, that's the thing. And the generics are way overcosted.
Yeah, because the lowest generic is PS1.
Yeah, and it's like 30-odd points.
Yeah.
And the fact that it has 1 shield only is interesting. 1 shield, 4 hull.
4 hull, okay. And 3
And so
evade.
it's 5 health total. It can do a lot of actions. It can focus,
Can't
target
evade.
lock, barrel roll, and boost. But, only 1 shield.
It seems like the Protectorate Starfighter is like a better version of it.
And the dial's pretty reasonable as well. It's got everything except a 3 hard turn, which you don't necessarily need. And the only things that are red on there is a sloop. The thing about the Starviper, I reckon, as you guys have said, it's slightly too expensive. That's very easy to fix. All they have to do is release a title that makes it a few points cheaper. The other thing is, I wonder if people are turned off because the special abilities are okay, but not that great.
So, leading into my topic is Shizor's ability is that a friendly can take a hit or a crit once per turn. No, as many times as he wants actually.
Yeah.
Every time he's shot at. So, what is the most hull that we can use? Party boss. Give it a party boss. Give it Shizor. It's called Beast and the Bees. So you have a party boss that's firing out massive damage. So you want to shoot the party boss, but you also want to be shooting at Shizor because he's going to be right up in your face the whole time.
And 3 and 4 red dice is respectable.
Yeah. And then the last one will probably just be a generic blocker and giving you enough points to make sure Shizor a little bit more beefy. And, a blocker is a blocker, but 3 red dice at the front, still scary.
Yeah, I was thinking of pairing the 2 Vipers with Manaru with Gonk so that Shizor is, passing his hits on to Manaru and then Gonk's there to regen it back.
So we talked a couple of times about how Starviper looks a little bit like a butterfly. I suppose if you challenge somebody to a Starviper off, like you had to use some and they had to use some, like the bet is the loser has to get a tattoo of a Starviper just on the small of their back,
You laugh now, I already have one.
That's how you know she's the one.
Exactly.
Anyway, so Lachlan.
That was Tristan's Starviper challenge. The other thing was he told us after our crit stories thing. He told me he played against another TIE Phantom and he bombed it again and double damage and killed it. So that was
beautiful.
Yeah,
beautiful. Now, if you have a question for us or a challenge for us, feel free to hit us up on Facebook or I want to say Twitter. We don't have a Twitter. Hit us up on Facebook or the website.
Yep.
Any one of us will have a chat with you. Feel free. Lachlan, what's happening at ACT? Which is this weekend. So by the time you're listening to this, I'm probably going there right now.
Hi, Owen. Hi.
Hi, future Owen. Hi, past Owen. How are you? It's really hot.
All right. So last week we got a message at the Facebook page from one of the mods of Imperial Propaganda. And he sent a challenge out for any of us who were going to compete at the ACT, a game podcast versus podcast.
Yes.
Separate from the actual regionals contest. So we are sending our fearless leader, the master of disaster, Owen Cross, the mad bomb. He is going to represent Hell of a Pilot. Owen, tell us who you're up against.
Hadley Spencer, the leader of Imperial Propaganda. Hadley, I'm going to show you the hell and Hell of a Pilot. You're just propaganda. You're nothing.
Well,
you remember that.
Can I just, Owen, I'm behind you 100%. I'm a little torn here because of my love of the Empire. So
get out.
So let's not give it away. Actually, hang on. By the time the games are done, this episode will be out. So why don't you tell us what you're going to run / will have run by the time people are listening?
I'm still torn if I want to run the list for the tournament. And if I do want to run my list for the tournament, that will be some sexy KYY action. Either that or the Paratani list. I like the Paratani list, and it did me well at Nationals. So I'm not quite sure yet. Either one. Okay, I guess I'll see how I feel on a day. I might run the Paratani just because I can, but KYY is like, it's tempting. It's really, really tempting. Or...
But wait, there's more.
4 TLTs.
Oh, don't you do that. You'll be forced out of the podcast, and look, you can start your own, but yeah, no, it'd be like...
The TLT podcast.
But all we do is talk about how good TLTs are and how they're not overpowered. Or
today in episode 423 of Thug Life, Owen talks about TLTs.
What's wit? What's banter?
So I was playing a game with 4 TLTs. Yeah.
It turns out I was doing about, 2 damage per ship. They work pretty well.
But I do have to say thanks to Hadley for challenging us, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what the results are.
Yeah. Hadley.
Yeah, I mean...
The loser has to announce why Jar Jar Binks is the best Star Wars character and prove it.
Oh. Hey, Owen, don't lose.
I was actually saying, why is that a losing option? That sounds like a bonus.
We are talking about our favourite character, Jar Jar Binks.
I'm just looking at our show notes. Somebody's written Star Wars World 2019.
Yeah.
What's all this business?
Disney's announced Star Wars World. So it's
Star
actually
Wars what?
Yeah, Star Wars World. So they're actually going to build Star Wars World. One of their theme parks to go visit it. So
wait, so this isn't like Disney World Star Wars attraction. It's like
no.
Wow.
No, this is like full on total immersion in the Star Wars universe.
That's cool.
So I've already been to Disneyland. So it sounds like what you're telling me is I wasted my time. because I should have gone in 2019 instead.
Yes.
There's already basically a Star Wars section at Disneyland. If you go into the gift shop area there, a massive model of an X-Wing hanging from the ceiling. Cool. There's like stormtroopers and Jedi getting about. And now they're making an entire Star Wars world instead to replace that. So that's
really cool.
That's
I'm pretty excited about that. Do you know where it is? Where they've the proposed site for it is?
I think it's at the Anaheim in California.
Okay.
Well, Anaheim is where the original Disneyland is.
Yeah. And it's also a big sort of tourist conference center as well. But look, all that's available at the moment is concept art, but it looks pretty good. So it kind of looks a little bit like Star Wars World is going to be a mashup between Naboo and Jar Jar Binks' palace, if that makes sense.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, but there'll be like there's a full-size Millennium Falcon reproduction, so you'll get to actually, so you actually get to go on the Falcon and sit in the seat and do like hit the hyperspace buttons or something like that.
I think I need to
punch it, Chewie.
Punch it, Chewie. Yeah. Or do a ray and just pull out all the wiring and make things better.
Okay, guys, it's a bit thirsty work here. It's like 38 degrees. I think it's time for a drink. What do you guys think?
Let's head to the bar.
Yeah.
Hey Maz, can you play that song for me? Yes, that one. Thank you. Thank you. Love you too. So guys, do you like games? Do you like video games?
I played a video game once.
That's good. Do you like Star Wars video games? Do you like pretending to help charity?
Yes.
Good. Well, the Humble Bundle is a website where they get proceeds from different companies and they pretty much give out old games for free. You need to give them, I think, a minimum of $1, and they will give you a bunch of games. And this month, the Humble Bundle is Star Wars. So if you like 90 Star Wars games like X-Wing or TIE Fighter, you give them $1, you get some of that action right there.
Can I get me some Katarn?
You can get so much Katarn. Hang on, I'll tell you exactly how much Katarn you can get. If you pay $1, you will get Knights of the Old Republic, X-Wing Alliance, X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, Galactic Battlegrounds.
Oh, the reskin of AoE 2.
So, have you guys actually heard of Humble Bundle?
No.
Oh, it's great. It's Humble Bundle.
Yeah, I'm just looking at this, so we're obviously not paid to do this.
No.
But
this is charity, and by the way, all this money goes to charity. So
it's actually fantastic value, especially games like Force Unleashed and all these. There's all these classics in there. I'm going to be heading out and getting this. It's just magic.
I'm going to give them $1 and get X-Wing versus TIE Fighter.
Oh. But also the Knights of the Old Republic, that to me remains the pinnacle of storytelling in a video game.
Yeah, it's true.
I want to play KOTOR again.
Yeah, that's something Disney... I don't know what Disney's plans are for the video game part of the Star Wars. I mean, apart from EA Battlefront, which, well, you know...
Let's not talk about EA Battlefront.
Mm-hmm. But there's just so much they could do there. But anyway, this looks good, mate. Good call.
Oh yeah, I love this. Lockie, you want to talk about a certain place that you grew up? Let's talk about little Lockie.
Okay.
Do you know what I've just noticed about Lockie? Sorry, he comes from the same humble background as Luke and Kyle Katarn.
I do. I grew up in the Outer Rim. Don't have any force powers, which is a bit rubbish. But I did live on a farm for a little while.
Oh no, you're not the protagonist.
Yeah.
No.
But you've got that voice. Just next time you go out tomorrow, just say, this isn't the coffee you're looking for. Also, just try it on people. See if it works.
Just kind of wave my hands.
Yeah. Try it to your girlfriend. Those aren't the clothes you're looking for.
I will get told to move along. So I grew up in South Gippsland, which is a large part of Victoria, but rural part of Victoria. And when I was living there, there weren't a lot of places to play X-Wing like there are in the city. There's heaps of them. We've talked about them before. But for the past 12 months, I think they recently had their 1-year anniversary. There's a store in Wonthaggi in Gippsland, and the store is called Get Geeked. It's pretty easy to find, and it's a good place for. They got lots of board games and miniatures games there, but they do have X-Wing stuff, and you can go there and play. That would have been a great place to have when I was growing up down there. So, yeah, I mean, we've said before, we're a Melbourne podcast. We've got listeners all over Australia. We've got people listening in other countries. A couple of people from the UK have gotten in touch, which is great. But if you do happen to be listening and you're in Gippsland in Victoria, have a look at Get Geeked there on Facebook as well if you want.
Mike, do you have any shout-outs you want to give?
I'm just going to wish everybody in the ACT regionals good luck.
They'll need it against me. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm expecting all the sort of post-traumatic stress stories or the bombs, man. The bombs.
He bombed his own ship. Why would he do that? Yeah.
And he did it, and he didn't even have to, but he still did. So, look, I was originally planning to go, but I couldn't. But I'm looking forward to hearing about the results, who wins, the competition that we're having with Imperial Propaganda. So good luck, guys. Go out there and pew-pew.
Lachlan?
Basically, just if you're out there, if you're listening, send us some messages, send us some comments. We want to hear from you. We want to know what you think. We want you to, send us your thoughts and feelings so we can discuss them, make segments out of them.
Especially
and if you have a relationship problem, we could talk about that on air if you like. I mean, we're multi-talented.
And sometimes it's just not meant to be. You're a Trandoshan, she's a Wookiee. It's a cultural thing.
Yeah, it's not her, it's you.
Yes. If you're a Trandoshan, it is absolutely you.
You're into biting, she sheds everywhere. It's like a whole deal. So yeah, guys, I'll be out there. If you want to say hello, by all means. I don't bite hard.
He bombs hard, though.
Bombs hard. But yeah, I hope to see all you smiling faces out there. Until then, everyone, have a good night.